Okay, my name is Ron Dawson, and this is Betty Dawson St. John Dawson. Okay.
So fast forward.
Okay, fast forward
To the 1800s.
to the 1800s. We
They were still living in the stone house.
still live in the stone house here, and Carter's Raid was right up at the less than a quarter mile from here, and they burned the bridge and ran the train in the river, and there was 42 mills in Washington County at one time. They were all looted and destroyed during the war between the states, except the Dungan Mill at that time, because Henry Basher was running the mill, and he was a minister, and he held services in the mill, so it was considered a house of worship, so it was never touched. So at the end of the war, Duncans Mill, or St. John Mill, was ready to go. We ground flour and cornmeal and shipped it as far as the Reed House in Chattanooga. It was considered the bread basket of the South because nothing else was up running. Isn't that amazing? So it survived a lot of things.
And they used it for a hospital during the war and would bring in the wounded because it was a safe space and they wouldn't burn it. They must have had a pact or agreement. And they didn't fight on Sundays. So both groups could come to the mill for worship, which I think is just phenomenal that they gave up their fighting and got along on Sunday. It shows their faith walk is just tremendously strong. And the Confederates were on this side of the farm and fought all down through the road bed, if you could imagine. They were on this hill. And then the Union was on the Bogart, which is a bigger hill over on this side. And they'd come down and fight in the valley all day long.
And they'd had cannons on both sides. And those cannons that's in the bluff over here where the waterfall is, that's embedded in the...
And they say there's still part of a cannon up on the hill at the Bogart.
It was back in about 1895 that the map says it's called Watauga South. Watauga South was supposed to be the retirement and the manufacturing area for the Southeast. And there was investors from New York, Boston. At one time, they were bringing out 2 carloads of hides, had a large tannery here, and about 18 carloads of lumber at one time. And the flood of 1901 came through and took all the infrastructure out. And but Johnson City would never have appeared if this, and St. John Mill wouldn't have been here either, because on the map, there's over 3,200 homes on the map in 1895, and inside that they had a green space.
But when my grandfather was younger and back when George Washington St. John lived, they had campers that came every summer and spent maybe a month, 6 weeks, part of their summer on the river fishing, and they bring their whole families and kind of camp out. That was their summer vacation. They came to the river, and they had croquet, and they had badminton. It's just amazing to me. But my dad talks about his highlight of the day. He'd finish his chores, and his mother would say, "Well, now you can go down to the river and listen to the stories."